Welcome, everyone, to the Results Driven Podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Nicole Cooper from New York City. What's going on?
Gosh, a radio host over here.
Yeah, that was a good intro.
Thank you.
Good intro.
Well, we're excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I love you guys, and I'm happy to be part of the family.
Awesome. Well, one thing I love to do is just talk through like your journey, kind of where you started, what did things look like, and then what were some of the things you initially implemented, what was the result of that, and kind of navigate through some of those waters there. So take us back. Man, how has it been? 3 years now?
Really?
Since I haven't been teaching? Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I think, right?
Are you sure?
Today, is this 2 years?
22?
Might be 2 years, actually.
Okay.
That's
The
crazy.
end of 2 years.
I'm fine.
You started with us 6 months before that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I still remember walking out in the garage and having a conversation with her around when she should quit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it was 2 years not teaching because it's been like 2.5 years I've been with you guys.
Yeah.
A little bit over. It was November.
So 2.5 years ago, what did the real estate business look like?
My real estate business.
Mhm.
So 2.5 years ago. So I started during COVID with the active side of real estate, with the flipping, wholesaling. At that point, it was just flipping. So my first year, I did like 1.5 projects.
1.5.
1.5.
Okay.
The second year, I did 2 or 3. Each year, essentially, I made right around about 200,000. Now I was a solopreneur, just myself, dealing with GCs, really just kind of dipping my feet in my opinion, right? But yet I was still trying to do everything I needed to do to build the business because the ultimate goal was to leave teaching.
Yeah.
So obviously in New York, we make good money as teachers. There's a sick pension. There's great benefits. Summers off. I don't think I even realized how nice I had it with summers off and getting out of work at 3:00. I thought
Every summer I ask myself why I'm not a teacher.
yeah, but it's got its own, it has its own challenges, and the politics surrounding education is disgusting right now. Absolutely disgusting. So in order to, I'm a very calculated person, very analytical, and in order to leave teaching, I had to be at a certain net coming in from real estate, right? So I started buying rentals back 10 to 11 years ago.
Mhm.
So I started house hacking. I had the first house I bought, I had an apartment in the basement, or not in the basement, the first floor. So it was an accessory unit. Rented that out to two of my best friends. They were a couple. And then upstairs, my side of the house has 4 bedrooms. So I had 2 of my best friends living on my side of the house. So I was
Turning them rent too?
yeah.
Yeah, geez, sounds just like Tiff.
So I was banking my entire income. The house was paying for itself. And, it's quickly addicting. So started buying bought another rental 1 or 2 years later. So kind of started with rentals and was doing really, really well, right? And so I was very quickly and slowly started seeing the benefits of just in general real estate. And then during COVID, I got the full. I was bored. Got the full bug to do the full flipping and join Fortune Builders, which is no longer doing education.
What year was that?
So it was literally in the midst of. So we went out March for COVID. So that was June. I joined Fortune Builders.
Right after COVID, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't drink any more wine and eat any more cookies. I was like, I need to do something with my brain and like feeling like fried potatoes. So so I joined them, learned how to flip and started right away. So those first 2 years I did about 200,000, which was like okay, but the lack of consistency was just I couldn't.
Not enough for you to quit your job.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely paid well in New York, and like I said, the pension is pretty hard to walk away from.
Yeah, and a quick disclosure too. I mean, with the price points of the properties and homes in New York City, that's what allows you to do one deal and make 200,000. Like that is not normal unless you're in a more expensive market like that. So
I think it's more normal than you think. Our market just sucks.
I think it's important to know that if your average value of your home in your market is 300,000, you can't expect to have $200,000 deals all the time.
Right.
So
well, and it was really like 2 deals the first year. And then the second year was 3 or 4 deals. But there was still like no consistency. There was no like month to month. They had no idea what we were going to be getting, what we could get. And it became very exhausting, very fast. That I'm doing everything myself. I'm trying to market. I'm trying to answer the phones. I'm doing acquisitions. I'm, working with people, trying to follow up, running the flips. It was insane while doing a full-time job. And I just needed that consistency. So that's why I started working with you guys, right?
Yeah. So I know we had a conversation, and at the time you were interviewing different education programs.
Yeah.
And I know you and I talk about this all the time. What made you choose results driven above all else?
So it was actually interesting. I was about to sign up with another program literally that day. And I would talk to my best friend who is a entrepreneur. She owns her own, she owns like a boat charter business. She's got a hand in a bunch of different things. She's a total boss. And she's like, listen, there's this woman, Tiffany High. Just look at these, just look at the Instagram app. just go look. And before you sign on with this class, just go look. So I went and looked, and I'm like, And the answer is that you guys are focused on the business development, the sales development, and it's you're looking at it from a different lens than anybody else, right? Everybody else is looking at it as real estate and how do we best,
construct a deal.
Correct. And even marketing around real estate, right? And all that, but not around how to build a business properly. The fact is that what you guys teach us, like, we can use in any business, right? So it kind of goes that direction also. And like I told you guys, right, I'm looking to buy other businesses to kind of diversify, and this will help me in that too, right? So but that's really what it was. It's that, like, it's about building businesses and building people and teams and processes and systems, rather than how do we market for wholesaling, how do we market for flipping,
Yeah.
So
What do you feel like you've grown the most in over the last couple of years?
what do I feel like I've grown the most in? Just the team development aspect, right? Like the ability to trust the process of training and then giving the reins to those people, right? Surrounding myself by people who are better at what they do than I could be, right? Because we all have skills, we all have positives, we all have negatives, we have things that we're good at, things we're not good at. And I'm very, self-reflective. So I definitely know there's things I'm not good at, and really putting people in those seats or bringing somebody like semi into my team that's still on their own, they're not directly, a W-2 employee, but that is going to be that portion of our business. And so I just think that training those people to be, right butt in the right seat, and trusting that they're going to be a part of the program and have the faith that, like, we're all going to get our own pieces done. And, I think we're going through like a big shift in acquisitions right now, but I'm still so happy and excited with where our like company culture is right now. And really it's really from what I've learned from you guys. So, and I think I'm confident in the ability to now run other businesses, right? If I buy a business, if I start another business, roofing company, whatever, all these skills are just transferable, So, the reality is I was a science major, right? In college, I was a human phys major. I was pre-med, I mean, I'm a go-getter. I was an athlete. I was a D1 athlete, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
that helps too.
I mean, it does, right? Like that.
You gained a new nickname. My dad calls you New York.
I've been called New York before.
So last weekend, I was like, Dad, Nicole's coming up. I go, New York. And he goes, oh, New York and California are going to be there.
Yeah, so it's just having that like go-getter attitude that comes from.
Yeah.
But
so you jumped into the program. What was like the first one or two things that you really focused on implementing?
Building a team. It's just like hiring. That was the first thing. Like,
why was that so important though for you at that point?
Because I was working probably over 100 hours a week.
Okay.
Because you were still teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to really point out for those listening is that Nicole has zero excuses. That's one thing I love about Nicole. She worked as a teacher, would literally at her lunchtime, right? On our ops call, she's hiding in her back closet in her classroom to do our calls. And then she's building a team. I always say, like Aaron Letty, right? He manages a team on top of working here. And it's like, for those that are like, oh, that's not possible, or this is too much, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's just in your head. So it's just a matter of what you're committed to.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. We all have seasons as long as we say, hey, by this date, I'm making this decision, right? And you might have to go through a season to get to that decision. But I think that you said, hey, I'm not going to leave these kids in the middle of the school year. I'm going to make this decision in the summer. So you were very decisive. You didn't make excuses on where the hell your time was going. And you just did whatever the fuck it took to get to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think, I know you'll relate to this, and we won't bring up the whole story, but I lost friends doing it. I didn't go to family things. There's a lot. I don't hang out with anyone from back home anymore because of this, right? And it's like a sacrifice that we have to make to get to where we're going.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you've made a lot of sacrifices to get here. And so I will say you're a testament to everyone that's listening that always makes an excuse of why they can't do something versus saying why they can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I love too is I heard someone say this, and I forget who it was, but it was freaking genius. They all, like, whatever I heard, it said something along the lines of, while you're sitting here making excuses or finding excuses or coming up with excuses, someone else is finding a way.
Yeah.
And you found a way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, in general, in life, the majority of people see challenges as like, oh shit, I can't do this, or like, it's not going to work. And like, I see a challenge and I'm like, okay, well, how can we get around this hurdle? Like like every single thing is possible. Anything is possible. Anything, right? Like, it just is about the determination and like, how far are you going to go to make that thing happen, right? And so when I see challenges, I'm like, all right, well, how do we get past this challenge? Like, what's the answer, right? What's the solution? And I just think most people don't think like that. But as if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to build a business, or you have to think like that, right? What every single challenge in life is overcomeable. I don't know, that's probably not a word, but can be overcome. And it's just a matter of how do you do it? How do you make it happen, right? And having that mindset, instilling that mindset into your team, finding people who have that same mindset is just so important, right? And I think that's like, does that come from being an athlete my whole life? Like, I don't know. Is that, when I was a kid, my dad, Thomas the Engine, like, I think I can. My dad, I was like one of my favorite books, and my dad would be like, it's not I think I can, it's I know I can. And I think it just was ingrained into me as a kid. Like, I think no matter what it is.
You and Tiff are very similar in that regard. And even like my parents, like my mom would always tell me, my dad would always tell me, like, I can do anything, I can be anything I want. I think that absolutely plays a role, because when you get slapped in the face in business, like, it's not all sunshine and roses. It's hard work.
Yeah. I remember, so my father always, like, I would say if I could attribute one thing to my dad, it was that he always made me realize I could believe in myself. Mm-hmm. And so now when I go make big decisions and I'm like, oh, there's a pretty big chance I'm going to fail doing this. But guess what? My dad's still going to love me, so we're good. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot to be said for that. So those that are having kids right now, it's like those words matter. Right. So like every night we always tell Sailor, like, you can do this. You're courageous. You're brave. You're
huge.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much of society right now that, like, kids are shut down for some reason, that, like, there's so much of this, like, childhood anxiety and all these things, and it's a learned behavior, right? They're learning it from each other, right? So, one of the things that I do want to do at some point, as I continue to grow and get people into those kind of seats so that I have more time, and I'm definitely getting there. I'm finally feeling that, like, I have more time. It's crazy. I stopped working on the weekends entirely. It's just, oh wow, it's off for the most part. Yeah, it's awesome. But
High five.
Soon you'll be taking those summers off again.
Yeah. But it's creating some sort of a, like, education thing for kids that high school kids, and how to invest in real estate, and how to learn how to be better people, and how to think in a way that is going to be more conducive to being successful in life and doing whatever they want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I've always wanted to tap into the athletes in college with real estate, because typically when you're an athlete,
great.
you just have a mentality of taking action. You don't know any other difference. And so and they'll work through problems, right? Like as an athlete, if we lose a game, we don't just like sit there and cry and complain. You figure out how to go win the next one.
You show up to practice the next.
Yeah.
The next
And
day,
so I
you
think
watch
that
film,
those skill sets and those character traits that they're learning in the game will carry over really well in real estate. And so I've always been like, how do we bridge the gap?
Yeah.
So you knew you had to build a team. And the reason why you needed a team is you didn't have a whole lot of time because you were working 100 hours a week.
Right.
Like, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Probably cost me my marriage, but everything happens for a reason.
So what was the first position you went to hire and how did you go about that?
So first position I hired was an acquisition specialist to call leads, deal with leads, handle leads, follow up on leads, and so I could be helping managing the projects and doing everything else and learning how to really be the head of a business rather than, a real estate
10-year-olds.
You know what I mean? Like before you guys, I like KPI tracking, like it was not in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah.
Right. Like you don't know because I didn't have business training. I didn't go to school for business. I didn't know anything about it. And it's interesting because my entire family is very entrepreneurial. My grandpa owned a large printing plant. My dad took over the family company. My brother owns a large production company. Everybody is pretty much, my uncle is a marketing, like everybody's pretty much in business. And so, but like I didn't go to school for that. So I had to learn all this stuff. And, so I hired the acquisition specialist. So he took that portion off my plate and really systematized getting offers out, doing process calls, really kind of breaking down and following up with people. So it was like, how do I get consistency so I can leave this job, right? And the fact is that without a team, you can't have consistency.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not enough time in a day, So, and I thought it was going to be like, 5 years to stop teaching. And I think I beat it by 2 years. It's like 3 years to stop teaching. But
when you first got into real estate?
Yeah. Like when I first started flipping.
Yeah.
So, which is awesome.
How many years were you a teacher before you started your first flip?
13 years. Well, I left teaching after 13 years, but I guess it was 10 years. So I was, I was a teacher for 10 years. So I was already vested into the pension system and all that stuff. So it was a big decision. And of course, my family, rich dad, poor dad, you know what I mean? Like my family didn't want me to leave this pension and this great job and so I got the whole ringamarole, but
you don't seem like someone that'll listen to other people.
Yeah.
It goes back to like you have to believe in yourself. Like you have to tell people no. Like if you don't have anything good to say to me, like if you don't have anything positive in support, just keep it to yourself. Like because I know this is possible and I do believe in myself. So just don't share your opinions.
Don't get them away. Yeah.
Right. And not for nothing. Like look at my brother. Like he's got his business. Like he's very successful. So if he can do it, why can't I do it? I do everything I've ever wanted to do. So like how, what makes you think he can do it and I can't do it, And so it's kind of retraining their brains.
So what advice would you give someone though has the family saying, don't do that, don't go risks?
Don't listen to them. Find people, mentors, other colleagues, other people in the business, in the industry that you want to go into and talk to them about it. Find yourself a mentor or coaching program that will give you the skills and knowledge to have the confidence to do what you want to do. And don't listen to your family that was limited by their own beliefs. Limiting beliefs is what destroys the majority of society's ability to succeed on a larger scale.
Yeah.
I think limiting beliefs is like, as a teacher, that was like one of the number one things I would try and teach people. Like limiting beliefs are silly. Right? It's why people, when they see a challenge, they get scared and they say it's not possible. It goes right back to that, right? You can't have limiting beliefs. It's, can you do this? Yes, you can do anything you put your mind to. Is it going to be a challenge? Yeah. Are you going to need support? Yeah. Are you going to, possibly fail? Possibly. So do it slowly and start small and take the smaller risks and learn the processes and then take bigger risks and learn the processes and try to do everything in your power to prevent failure, put yourself in the right positions, but don't have limiting beliefs because that's not going to get you anywhere.
It kind of reminds me of like be aware of who you're listening to and the advice, like who you're getting advice from. Because I don't think anyone would go to the homeless man at the corner and ask him for financial advice, right? Even if like a lot of times people's parents, like your parents were all entrepreneurs, a little bit of different story or situation there, but you know, our parents love us. They want to try to protect us, and they what they think may not actually be reality. And so, to your point, find someone who's been there, done that, and has achieved what you're considering or what you want to achieve, and ask them for the advice, not the people who we position up here because, again, they're our parents, and we know that they care about us. But there's a factor of they may not know what they don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it happens so much.
Especially on like a lot of this stuff we also see in like the raising private money, because there's so many limiting beliefs around money in general. And I actually just got in this conversation yesterday with someone around like their kid's like 16 years old, and she's had them read like all these leadership books and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm like, if someone would have told me to do this at that age, I don't know where I'd be today, because I didn't even like think to read these things until I was at least 30. And so I just look at like that 15-year gap that I'm like, I could have, who knows? You know? So I really encourage parents now, like, pay your kid if you have to read these books. Yeah. And so now I understand, because some of like a decade ago, I remember some of my mentors back in the day, they would pay their kid an allowance for reading books. And that's why I do this with Sailor now. So I'm like, you have to learn, you're not getting paid to do chores. You're getting paid to work out, be healthy, or read.
That's a great idea.
Because then I can advance them further. They don't realize what I'm doing.
That's
right?
a great idea.
Chores are just expected.
And we don't want to reward expectations.
Yeah. So, but you want to give some type of reward system, right? Because then they're like, oh, my friend's got a reward, you know.
That's a great
But I would rather reward you to learn, because if I could go back, I would have given anything to read that stuff.
I know.
So you found an acquisitions person, right? Could you imagine what it would have been like trying to hire someone and not having a thorough onboarding or consistent ongoing training? What do you think would have happened if you didn't have that?
Definitely less knowledge. Yeah, it
would have a shit show.
You know, it would have been way more challenging, I'll tell you that. You know, and with my lack of business knowledge, it would have been even harder. You know, it's like, I don't even know. I don't know how I would have done it. You know, it's so much nicer to have systems and processes to mimic and to implement.
Let's even talk to that. I mean, you're working full time, while you have someone who's working full time for you. How did you even go about onboarding them and training them? Seriously.
So we did, you guys, you know, your onboarding, and
which is like a plug and play onboarding, right? They sit in front of a computer and bam.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, plug and play. They're, you know, part of our weekly calls. And then I'm like trying to even think about how I did it. I don't even remember, like, how was I teaching from 7 to 3? I remember like analyzing deals in class for sure. Don't tell my hopefully this doesn't get back to my school district. I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't know everything. Yeah.
But I used to sit on ops calls in class.
I remember.
Sometimes I'd put on a movie,
and I couldn't hear you, and you're like whispering into the computer, and I'm like, Nicole, speak up.
I'm like, they're watching a movie. And it's funny because they knew. It was like every Wednesday they'd be like, "Oh, Miss Cooper's got her another video, huh? Yeah. Why are we doing this, Miss Cooper?" Like, oh yeah, you know. But you know, I think just I guess we would do stuff after work and on my lunch breaks, and I was always there for him. And the reality is, like, was I the best boss that I could have been at that time? Absolutely not. You know, like, I was definitely still learning, and I was definitely still growing as a boss, as a you know, how do I coach them to be the best person? Was I doing everything I should have been doing? Definitely not. You know, time is and still to this point, like, I'm finally like getting to the point where like I have the time to do everything I need to do in my own business, you know, but time has definitely been my biggest constraint over the last 5 years of how to be the best boss I can be. Like, I don't always have enough time, and I know like that's my own shortcoming. That's my own, like, you know, failure, right? But we have to assess our own failures or our own limiting limitations in order to improve and get better, and how do we, create the team we need to create so that I have the time I need to do everything I need to do with each one of my employees.
What does the team look like today?
So we have full-time project manager. He's running the flips. We have a full-time acquisition specialist. We're actually hiring. So we have 2 acquisition specialists, but our second one, we're in the process of changing to a new person. So 2 acquisition specialists, full-time project manager, a full-time dispo manager that I'm been grooming to be my GM. We're probably right at the point where I can call my GM, and he's really what's kind of taken the most off my plate. He's really running the front side of the business and helping with everything. I have full-time executive admin. We have 2 full-time cold callers, and then we have 2 part-time marketing guys that help us with everything we need marketing.
Like VAs?
Yeah,
Well,
so they're in Pakistan.
Okay.
But they kind of do a lot of our back end stuff with our CRM. They do a lot of our, all of our direct mail and lists building and all of kind of the nitty gritty marketing stuff.
Yeah. You've got basically every frontline position is full. And now you're working on the leadership and then the leader of the leaders.
Exactly.
And that ultimately is what's buying back your time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. So,
and we actually, I'm proud of this, so I have to share it. I got full health insurance for all my employees.
Wow, high five.
For, I guess, last June 1st. So I feel proud, that's
that was a big deal for me when I
401k, like the whole 9, the whole package, vision, dental, and it's good health insurance. It's good insurance.
Yeah.
So, we can not only offer that, I just feel like I'm able to take care of my employees better, and they deserve it. So
yeah, that's going to help you with recruiting now too.
100%. 100%.
That's awesome. I have to come work for you now.
Nicole's like, you're hired. So you got this person, you got them onboarded, you've got the ongoing training. What was like a KPI red flag that you and your coach recently ran into? If you could explain the red flag and then the action that you took to solve it.
All right, really pretty much our conversion rate of qualified leads to contracts for one of my acquisition specialists. And we really dove into the numbers, what are the lead types? What's going on? Where is everyone going? And we found this weird, crazy thing that he was putting people into discovery too soon.
Okay. So that's a lead status. Yeah. The incorrect lead status, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And so he wasn't following up with them enough.
Yeah.
The majority of contracts really come from follow-ups, right? It's come from not from the first time, not from the second time, not from the third time you contact them, but 3 months later, 4 months later, staying in front of that person, and they're finally ready to sell. They're finally ready to make that decision, and us being top of mind. Mm-hmm. And he just wasn't doing that. And
I love this example. This is like a very unique. Typically, it's like connection to quality conversation or offer to contract, and yours is actually quality conversation to offer. Mm-hmm. So, if we go back to our framework here, which is we have a 6-step framework. We have to identify the red flag, which you identified is the conversion from quality conversation to offer. Then from that red flag, we can then go do what we call a CRM audit, which this is where you go and you say, okay, here's every person, here's every lead source. Is it specific to a marketing channel? Maybe I have a marketing problem and not an acquisition problem. So you're able to identify it's not a marketing problem. This is an acquisition problem based on the CRM audit that you did. Yeah. So what you did then is you probably went and listened to calls, right? Step 3, call reviews. We chose the calls based on what we saw in the CRM. To see how those conversations went, which you identified, based on this conversation, it's in the wrong lead status. Mm-hmm. So then you identify the problem, which is step 4, and you created a plan with your coach, step 5, then you execute the plan. So what was the plan? What did you guys end up doing?
Well, so he was giving up too fast, right? He was like, from the call audits, we saw that he was giving up too fast. He's just not pushing enough, and he's not providing enough value. He's not trying to solve their problems for them enough. And,
looking for the low hanging fruit, got a little lazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're in the process of handling that.
Yeah.
wink, wink. But, everything is a process. So we are currently hiring a new acquisition specialist, and we probably need to hire 2 new acquisition specialists. So, it's tricky, but everything's progression and
one thing to point out though,
on with him and like, why are you doing, you have to, and we role played when should you give up? When should you not give up? What was the other value you could have provided here? We also put in our deal analyzers directly, what is the value you can provide for this person? So they have to have it sitting right in front of them when they're on that offer call. I think that's helped a little bit.
And now when the statuses and stuff were wrong, is it a process issue that he didn't understand, or is it no?
It's accountability to the qualification.
Accountability.
Accountability to the qualification.
Now, one thing to point out here is that this is what normally happens, right? If you don't get properly educated, if you don't have good onboarding training, all that, and then the scorecard to really understand what's broken. Mm-hmm. So what typically happens in the industry is people come in and be like, my person sucks, my lead sucks, this sucks, that sucks. And it's like, are you sure you don't suck? You don't even have the tools telling you what's wrong. And at the end of the day, it's your job as the leader to have the tools, systems, processes, training in place. So even if it is a them problem, you have to identify what was the problem. So when I now either change the process, the person, whatever it is, I got to know what I need to change or adapt to.
Yeah.
So if it was a person thing or it was an action gap or whatever, okay, so how do I bring in the right person then, mm-hmm. right? If it was a process problem, now I know what to go fix. If it was just, hey, this person's having troubles overcoming an objection, cool, we're all human, but now I know, so I know what to go train on. But without tracking the metrics, guiding you to where even go look, most people would just broadly say, they suck.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that it's also like it could be a monitoring problem, right? Like you can't. What's the phrase? You can't measure what you don't measure.
You can't manage what you don't measure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that we weren't looking at that enough, and that was probably because I didn't have enough time, right? And so that's when I really, that's why I'm really trying to make Tyler, into my GM, which he's already there, but he's got the time, right? He's focused only on acquisitions for the most part and dispo. And I'm doing project management, TC, business development.
Why haven't we outsourced that yet?
So this actually really unique. This is a really unique topic, actually. I want to go into the GM piece here. And before we get into that,
it's been a year since we had that conversation.
I like it. Be it my connections with the people that do the parts are so, I think, vital to that role. And it's really, remember, we have attorneys and we have title companies, so I don't have to do that much. It's just a matter of continually pushing people to get things done, So
I think the GM is a big piece.
Yeah.
And this conversation around tracking KPIs, I think it's important to note this.
Get yelled at after this.
Tracking KPIs is absolutely critical for the business.
Oh, yeah.
But tracking KPIs alone is not enough. You can have the tool, you can have the tracker, but it's knowing what to do with the metrics that makes all the difference. If we identify the red flag like you did, if you didn't know how to solve it, then what good does it make, right? So,
and then what happens is people let these problems bleed them till it's not an option to stop doing it because they don't know what the problem is. So they blame all these external factors instead of really narrowing in. You're running a company, you're always going to have the problems. It's about finding them as fast as possible to close them. It's a part of the game. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to progress too much further if you keep doing TC work.
So this GM, right? The GM is going to be able to help you find a TC. But anyways, how are you going about training them?
So I've brought him in on essentially like every phone call that I think that he, I'm trying to get him to see every aspect of the business. He's training with you guys. He's here today or this weekend on the 2-day. I'm super excited. I think it's going to blow his mind. I'm like, are you I'm blown right now. But I'm just literally including him on everything, and he's doing the sales pods, he's doing sales, like everything, and slowly kind of turning over things to him, right? Believing in him is huge, right? And
How'd you find them?
on Indeed. So I was hiring a dispo manager, and I like interviewed him like, "Yo, you're my boy for life. Like, you're my right hand man for life." Like he immediately, it was like, and he felt the same way. There was just like an immediate connection between us, the way we think, the way we, everything. We're both scrappy, and he wants to be a part of it. And I think I quickly realized like that he's capable of more. And he comes from a sales background, so he has a lot of sales knowledge naturally. He's a natural salesman, in the good ways, not necessarily the bad ways. And when we've worked out some of the kinks of the bad ways, he does come from the car business, so we can't fault him for that. But his ability to kind of think about everything and see things on the grand scale, it was very obvious to me. So, I'm just super stoked about it. I think
he's already asking really good questions since he's been here. Well, systematically, process-wise, and even understanding the leadership lens too, I think has been like something I've noticed just in 30 minutes, 60 minutes of interaction. So
yeah, he's great. And he definitely, I think, is going to be able to bring my company to the next level and kind of implement a lot of the things that I either don't have the time to do or it's just not within my normalcy. He definitely has brain, certain things that he's really, really skilled at that are not my strong suits, and that's like going back to the beginning. Like, that's what I think is so important. Surrounding yourself by people that are better at what they do than you are. Right. And I think that goes for any leadership position, president, like surround yourself by people that are better than you and you're going to succeed.
I'm going to remember you said that. I'm going to get her to hire after this.
So one thing I love to do, I ask everyone, if you were to go back, put yourself in your shoes where you were when you first started working with us or when you first got into real estate and you're working full time, you're working, when you're out of your full-time job, you're doing everything you can, working 100 hours a week just to get this thing off the ground. What's a piece of advice that you would give someone who's currently working that full-time job, who wants to get into real estate and really build this thing out to buy back their time, leave their job, and gain the freedom that they want?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks have a self-owning belief that you can't build a team while you're working. So maybe talk a little bit about that too.
Interesting. So I think number one and most important is believe in yourself, right? Anything is possible. You can do anything you put your mind to. And number two is harness the power of a team, right? Like, the fastest way to buy back your time is to hire people, to give away specific portions of that job, even if it's hiring a VA, starting with VAs, right? Start with or smaller position, but believe in the understanding and that yes, is it going to cost you money to hire someone? Absolutely. But how much money can they make you? And what is your net ROI going to be on that position, right? And then once you hire that position and they have support, or you're able to then focus on higher revenue generating activities, then how much more money are you going to make? And at what point are you going to be able to leave? So I think a lot of people are scared to hire people because they're scared to pay those salaries.
Yep.
But the reality is that two people get more done than one. And so, and sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward, right? You have to make less money in order to make more money and build the business, right? And get the structure under you. So believe in yourself and don't be scared to hire, because it's the only way to turn it into a legitimate business, right? See it as a legitimate business rather than oh, I flip houses here and there, or, plan on flipping 1 to 2 houses a year, and then you're going to need a full-time job, because if it's a crappy year and you can't get a house, or, you lose your shirt on one house, then you're out of luck. But if you're doing 40 houses or 30 houses a year and you lose your shirt on one house, well, you got 39 others to pay the bills.
I like to keep my shirt. I don't like to lose it.
I like to keep my shirt also, but, a wise woman once told me, if you never lose money in real estate, you're not making enough offers. So, I'm
going to remember that, Tiff. So if that time comes, I'm going to, hey, remember what Nicole said?
We've already done our fair share of a handful of deals losing money on.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately it's part of the business, right? But that's the whole thing about doing volume, is that it's okay, right? And
You can never get rid of the risk. You can do everything you can to reduce it.
exactly. And no matter how good you are, like, there's gonna be things that you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so how do you prepare yourself and make sure that you're in a position to be fine when that happens, you know?
Awesome advice, Nicole. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you listening to the journey. And hey, we still got a lot of work ahead of us, which is even the most exciting thing. So thanks for coming on and thanks for sharing.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.